All right, let's get started on another video here. We've pretty much covered almost all the material in W3 schools on the website here. Transition over to this, which is on the right side, and VS Code on the left side. We left off with how to generate random numbers, which is something that is going to be new, kind of new to me. From here, we got the reference areas, which we probably won't cover, and examples section right here, which is probably the same examples that we've already done. But after this section right here, I think I'm going to go ahead and move on to my other source of learning C++, which is, in my opinion, more detailed, a lot more information. It may help me understand a lot of these areas better. But from here and stuff, if you can get through this as a beginner, you pretty much have a starting basic understanding of C++ or any of these languages that W3 Schools has to offer. So let's hop into this because I'm not sure. Okay, so this ain't even that much. Because once we get done with this section right here, I'm going to go ahead and introduce the next section I'm going to jump into to start learning, which the next section will be redundant or repeating a lot of the stuff that we've already gone over, but there'll be a lot more details involved in it. So, how to generate random numbers. You can use the rand function found in the CSTDLIB library. I'm not even sure what that stands for, but to generate a random number. I'm sure that some sort of random number is generated off of multiple lists or multiple arrays, vectors, built into a simple function. Random and, I guess. I'm not sure what the RN stands for, but let's go ahead and clear out all this code here we have. This is from the last example we did. Let's get started fresh here. And then all of this as well. Yeah. So the for the random number generator, the function it was talking about, if you can't see it on the screen here, this is the function rand to generate that, and you will need, it looks like a CSTDLIB. I'm guessing the last three letters indicate library. I'm not sure about the first four letters though. I've actually never used this library before, so this would be completely new to me. Include CSTDLIB. And then we have an example right off the bat here, which is basically, I guess, going to produce us a random number. So let's give that a shot and see what happens here. Standard out rand, and go ahead and save that and see what happens here. Okay, so it did generate a random number. Again, I'm not sure how this works as far as generating a random number is concerned. I'm sure in my other source it'll get more detailed into how that works. It'll get more detailed into a lot of this information. So moving on to get more control over the random number. For example, if you only want a random number between 0 and 100, you can use the following formula. So we have an example here of how to do that. Go ahead and clear this code out right here. And it looks like we got first a comment. Generate a random number between 0 and 100. Int variable random num is going to be set to rand function. And it looks like it's going to be a modular of 101. This is something we haven't seen in a little bit, but that's what that normally indicates. The percentage symbol there is modular. And then we're going to output our random number. Oops. There we go. Go ahead and save that and run it. And we still get 41. So we got the same result 2 times in a row. So I'm not sure if that's random or not, but you know what, let's go ahead and run it again and see what happens. Still getting 41. Still getting 41. Okay, so we're not really getting a random number in my opinion. So I'm not sure why, because this is the first time I've dealt with it, but that to me is not a random number. It may be a random number the first time, but it seems more like it's repeating that same random number, so I'm not sure how this is supposed to work, but I would guess to say that that is not a random number. It's a repeated random number over and over. Anyways, moving on. The example above just outputs a random number once. They do not output different random numbers each time the program runs. To fix this, you can use srandom function and add the time function from the ctime library. So I'm guessing you're going to use time to generate different numbers. If it's supposed to be a random number, which is not, in my opinion, how would time make it different? But let's see here. This will generate a random number from 0 to 100 each time the program runs. Okay, so got another example here, and it looks like we're going to keep this one right here. It looks like we're also going to keep the same output. We're just going to add more code at the top here. So got a comment, get a different random number each time the program runs. So maybe what it is once it generates a random number, that random number stays with that program indefinitely. I guess you would have to write another program to get a different random number. Or maybe it's something where you have to delete this right here, this executable file, in order to generate a different random number. We can give it a shot, see what happens here. Not a big deal. Go ahead and save that right there, delete this, and see if we actually do get a different random number this time. Nope. Let's try it one more time. Nope. Okay, so we're going to add this in here and see what happens after we add the time in here, because that's not a random number in my opinion. srandom time 0 define, and it did say we would have to add in the library here, include ctime. I'm going to put a space in there, put a space in between that, put a space in between our outputs. That's too many spaces. There we go. Save it. Run it. Let's see here. We get 76 this time, 86 this time, 92 this time. Now we're kind of generating a random number. I would assume, like I said, if you're going to generate a random number, the random number should be generated off of this simply by itself. It shouldn't have to be based on time. But that's just my opinion. Otherwise, you're constantly getting the same random number, and I'm not sure, unless you delete the file all completely or resave it, it seems like the random number is stored in the RAM, and then that random number, when you run the program multiple times, keeps coming up the same way because it's saved. So moving on. Okay, so that's the end of this section right here. So I guess if you want to generate a random number, you're going to have to use actual time, because the library right there with the function is not going to do it for you. It'll generate it once. I'm not sure if you can get any other kind of random number, and you may not get the same random number I got, but then it looks like once you repeatedly run the program, you're going to get the same thing over and over. I'm going to do a quick run through of some of this other material real quick. I'm not going to stick with it though. So we got references right here, which is references to keywords, in and out stream library, the F-stream library, CMath library, references to all these different libraries right here. Um, then we got a bunch of keywords. That might be the entire list of keywords, might not be. The only way to know for certain is to actually go to the C++ reference website and see. Then we got the IO stream, which has keywords or objects in it. This is the, assuming the IO stream library, which we use send quite often, see out quite often. The rest of them we haven't really used, so we haven't even covered half of them yet. And then you got the F stream library, file stream, I guess is what it stands for, which I think that if I'm not mistaken, this was the way to create a file, get a program to create its own file. But then we got quite a few things here we never even used. Well, not quite a few. I guess we did use a few of these. One of these was intended to read the file. One of them was intended to write the file. And then another class that can read and write files. But the file buff we never even used. CMath. So yeah, you can see, I mean, it tells you a lot of them. I don't think it's all of them though. I think there's more to it, but it doesn't, I mean, and it gives you a brief description and stuff, but if you're someone like me, this brief description is not enough to fully understand the function or the term or the object that they're using in the class. It's not enough. For me and stuff, I need not only the description, the definition, some examples, seeing how it's done, using it myself in different ways to fully understand it. And sometimes that doesn't even work. Sometimes I need more than that. But so that's the reference area, and then the examples area, which I'm pretty sure a lot of these we've already done. Create a simple hello program. Yes, we did that already. In an output print, printing out different things. Yes, we did that. Use comments, variables, user input, data types. Data types would be the float, int, double, boolean, character, string. We've done all that quite a few different times. Different operators, so add, subtract, comparing, different strings, string length, so forth, so on. So yeah, you can go through all this stuff. I'm not going to go through it because, like I said, going through it to check and see if I've remembered it will not help me out at all. I need to continuously exercise it, practice it, see it over and over to do it. Accessing it from my own mind and stuff, yeah, it kind of works, but it's not the best learning method for me. Um, so let's go ahead and move on to our next section here, where I will be spending a lot of time learning all this stuff. You can go and clear that up. So the first section of this website right here, which is what we're going to be moving on to our next video. I'll kind of describe some of these sections because I've already been through them. The first section right here, it is literally, if you've never written a program, never done anything with code before in your life, this is where you would start. Besides going to the other thing right there to kind of get a feel for how things work and everything, um, this is going to break down things that I've even said. How to get VS Code started, how to get the compiler, why you need the compiler, what the compiler does. It's going to give you a very grand beginning start. Again, you can start here if you want, but I do suggest going to the freecodecamp.com or .org site, using that first to jump in and see if you even want to learn C++. And then go to W3 Schools to kind of experiment with a lot of different ones, a lot of different code languages, to see which one you really like. And then you can come into here. These are introductions to the tutorials. There's a lot of information in here. You would simply click on the green button right there to go to the next part. Like I said, this is going to be full of ads. I got the ad restrictor turned on so you can't see any of this, and it doesn't pull up, because before, when I was doing this, I would be reading the line and stuff, and all of a sudden an ad would pop up and this line would disappear. It would disappear because it would go halfway down the page because of the ad. But yes, it also describes machine languages, um, assembly languages, which is something I really want to learn. because assembly languages is what can help you build a library, which there's already libraries out for this, but assembly language is what helps you build a library that actually gives you control of the commands that are sent to the CPU, from my understanding, which pretty much can activate other drivers in your machine, in your computer. These other drivers and stuff like the GPU activates the GPU, activates the uh, internet driver, or uh, however you would call it. Introduction to low-level languages. So yeah, we're going to start covering a lot of this stuff. I am not going to end up covering most of all the beginning section right here, um, because I've kind of got an idea on that stuff. But yeah, if you want to go through it, you can. Um, let's see here. Introduction to C and C++. And if you click on just the block itself, it won't take you there. You actually have to click on the letters itself. C++, more details on it right there. A lot more details on it than what was offered previously. Some of the history, maybe even. Philosophies. Introduction to C++ development, how it was developed. A little bit of understanding on that. Define the problem that you would like to solve. So if you have a problem in your life or a problem with something you would like to get solved and stuff, you might be able to find the answer right here on how to write a program to do that, maybe. There's not much there, so it's not gonna, like I said, this section morely is just giving us an idea of what the entirety of all this material is about, and there's a lot of it. So just like any book, when you open up a book and you start reading a book, normally the first section you come across is a description of what the book is about sometimes, or maybe that's maybe in the back of the book. But even when you watch a movie and stuff, on the back of the movie, or if you pull it up and stuff, there's a description right there, kind of giving you an idea of what the movie is about in a short 1 or 2 sentence paragraph sort of thing. So where we will be starting off is right here. Statements and structures of a program. And this will be more of a lot of reading material, a few exercises, um, but I will still be streaming all this, even though I'll be reading a lot more than what I was. But like I said, it's just so much more detailed. I like how much more detailed it is. I went through the other thing and stuff to kind of exercise my mind on the other on this stuff again, but this right here is just so much more detailed. Anyways, I think I'll leave it right there on that. I'm gonna go ahead and save this as a favorite spot. That way when I start coming into this, I am picking up right where I left off, which is what I've been doing, but I was doing it with W3 Schools. In this case, we're going to be doing it with this. And yes, if there's an ad supposed to be there and you click on that spot, it won't bring up the ad, but it'll pause as if it's trying to. But since there's nothing there, it won't bring up the ad. I've done that several times. That's why the screen kind of dimmed out. So, if you liked the video, hit the like button. If you have any comments or questions, leave them in the comments there. If there's anything I've said that is probably incorrect or not correct, you're welcome to correct me there. But yeah, the comments are there for any of that stuff. So, and I will see you in the next video.